This episode is sponsored by the Foreman School in Litchfield, Connecticut, a lovely town it is. A coeducational college prep school that empowers bright students who learn differently. And who would not want to learn differently? To learn more about the nation's first and best co-ed school for high school and postgraduate students with learning differences, go to formanschool.org. That's Forman school.org. Hello and welcome to Distraction. I'm your host, the effervescent, enthusiastic Dr. Ned Hallowa. I'm just kidding with you here. Actually, I'm feeling pretty effervescent and enthusiastic today. Today's listener question comes from Pamela, and please send in questions. We love getting them. So here's what Pamela wrote to us today. Hi, Doc. I love it when people call me Doc. I just got my official ADHD combined diagnosis 2 weeks ago. Just let me add, ADHD combined, there's ADHD primarily inattentive, there's ADHD hyperactive impulsive, and then there's ADHD combined, which means inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive. Yeah, we got them all. Okay, I'll start over with the letter here. Hi, Doc. I just got my official ADHD combined diagnosis 2 weeks ago at the age of 43, after being previously diagnosed bipolar. And I'm super excited that I finally have a word for why I do or don't do the things I do. I feel validated and excited about my diagnosis. It feels super good. So riddle me this. Why do I feel so much shame and guilt when I talk to friends and family about it? P.S. Here is the picture of the cake I made to celebrate. And she included this beautiful, beautiful cake, my gosh, with the block letters ADHD inscribed in the frosting. And how she did that, I have no idea. The woman is clearly extremely talented in the kitchen, and I'm sure in many other places as well. It's a beautiful celebratory cake. But why do you feel shame and guilt when you talk to your friends and family about it? Well, because you haven't really learned how to talk to yourself about it. You haven't really learned to be happy about it. But you can. You can. It takes some time. One of the lead symptoms of people, particularly women, adult women who have ADHD, is shame. They feel ashamed of all the things they don't do right. Well, just looking at this cake, I can tell you, you do a lot of things right. And that's what you need to start dwelling on. Dwelling on what you do right, dwelling on, what you're going to do right in the future, dwelling on the talents you've got. And it's best to do that with someone else. It's hard to do it alone. It's hard to pull your self-esteem up by your own bootstraps. It's hard to de-shame your system alone. I would refer you to my book, ADHD 2.0, the new book. There's some ideas in there about doing this. But mostly and the book can also lead you into a kind of self-inventory that will help you accentuate the good and not the bad. ADHD is a condition full of paired opposites on the one hand and then on the other hand. And, for every negative, there's a paired positive. Take even the classic triad of symptoms that defines the condition: distractibility, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. Turn each one of those on its head and you get a positive. The flip side of distractibility is curiosity, and we are nothing if not curious. Curious is what drives most great discoveries. The flip side of impulsivity is creativity. What is creativity but impulsivity gone right? You don't plan to have creative ideas. They pop. They come spontaneously, disinhibitedly, impulsively. And then hyperactivity, you get to be my age, it's called energy. I'm really glad I've got a little power pack on my back. So once again, you want to look at all the supposed negatives and then turn it on its head, and you'll find a positive. And in ADHD 2.0, I go through a whole list of these, so you can, of the more common traits. And indeed, the name itself, I would suggest you stop referring to it as ADHD, even though we put it in the title. We propose a new term for this condition. We propose VAST, variable attention stimulus trait, VAST, VAST. And you see, it's not a deficit of attention at all. It's a variation of attention, variability. So variable attention stimulus, that's another key element, and then trait. Depending upon how you manage it, it can be a terrible disorder. It can ruin your life. But it can also be a tremendous asset and make your life. It can be an unbelievably wonderful condition if you manage it properly. I have many people who, in fact, we're coming out with a documentary pretty soon about this, showing how successful you can be with this condition if you learn how to manage it properly. Find someone to work with, a friend, a therapist, somebody who really understands the condition. Get my book, ADHD 2.0. Keep baking those cakes and celebrating who you are. Go to Jessica McCabe's YouTube channel, How to ADHD. She's wonderful with and her embracing of the condition. There's just, it's time to put shame away. Yes, we make mistakes, but so bleeping what? The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be who you are, love life, and man, oh man, do this because the days are not infinite. The days are not infinite, so it's time to embrace life, yourself, and keep making these amazing cakes. I'm just staring down at the picture of this cake and thinking to myself, Pamela, you rock. You rock. Start saying that to yourself and start finding other people who will say that to you. And I promise you, the shame and the guilt will turn into pride and joy. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Thank you, Pamela, and thank you all. If any of you has a question, and who doesn't have a question, send it on to me, and I will do my best to answer it. Send it to connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect@distractionpodcast.com. I'd also like to thank the wonderful Foreman School in Litchfield, Connecticut for sponsoring this episode. Foreman is a fantastic school. I've known about them for decades. They work wonders with these kids who just need to be understood and appreciated to unwrap their amazingly considerable gifts. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our recording engineer and editor is the amazingly talented Scott Person, so talented he gets an extra S in his name. And our producer is the awesome, delightful, winged Sarah Girton, flying off in many directions all the time. I'm Dr. Ned Hallowell, trying to stay put. And thank you so much, as always, for listening. The episode you just heard was sponsored by the Foreman School in Litchfield, Connecticut, beautiful Litchfield. Foreman gives students who learn differently the resources to discover what they care about, to find success in a wide range of fields, and to just be themselves, not just their diagnosis. Learn more about the nation's first and best co-ed school for high school and postgraduate students with learning differences at formanschool.org. That's Forman school.org.